Chiefs have selected George Karlaftis. Big George! Here we go!
I am so beyond excited that Josh Simmons getting a crack at left tackle.
It's really hard to win the AFC Championship.
Is it?
Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory, a live off-season edition of the KC Laboratory, presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our amazing partners in Possible, here at KC Sports Network. The season's over, things have started anew, and apparently Matter Days are back, baby. Matt Swanson, Matt Hamilton, Maddie Lane. It's off season, and I guess it's back, baby. I can't wait. I'm so elated to be here. Maddie Lane.
Yeah. Listen, we were doing pretty good going into this show, but I'll tell you what, for those that maybe weren't here right as the live video started, we had but we had a different intro video than what we've been having all year.
I think it's new. I
thought so, but I didn't want to be wrong. And so we have this new intro video, and but tell you what, it got me really hyped because according to that intro video, just the way I was hearing it and everything that I heard, it's draft season. We don't have to talk about the actual NFL anymore. It is all 110% draft season now. So I'm pretty excited. Like this is giving me new life right now, Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What else is going on around the league? Nothing. It's all draft all the time. But I will say it is going to be weird with this being the first season since 2018 that a team not named the Chiefs or Bengals will be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl.
The most polar bear ass tweet I've ever seen from
that.
I can't tell you how hard in our morning meeting I had to share that with the whole group, and we were
if it was purposeful, it's hilarious.
It really is.
I was so mad. I wanted to rage quote tweet it with that Spider-Man heavy lifting meme where it's just like Patrick Mahomes just doing all of the work here. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
It made it so much harder because you guys are always like above the rage bait and don't really engage. And like it was so far beyond you both just
I genuinely think there's a market for inciting these Chiefs fans. Yeah. Like I really do. I think there's just like that's like everyone's goal is to just try to make us all so upset as much as humanly possible. And I try. Look, I'm just gonna tell y'all the best way. Every time you quote tweet one of these fraudulent posts, they win. Every time.
Oh, yeah.
Every
Absolutely.
single time. Even if you're quote tweeting it to get your own clout, they win. Every time. And it's just, like, okay. Like, when was the last time the Bengals made the playoffs? Was it that one fluke fraudulent year? Like, what are we doing here? Why do we have to start the show like this?
Because honestly, I respect Hamilton because it's gotten so far under your skin, and that's what makes it so funny.
And I haven't seen anything because again, you guys are smart enough to know, like, okay, I see what these people are trying to, but this one just sent you over the edge. It sent me over the edge. Honestly, it's so just patently ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was pretty funny.
Do you know what else I think is funny? Going back to that video that we just saw for the first time, I've had a mustache 3 times in the last 3 years, and for some reason there is a clip of me in a mustache in that video. Good. And I've had a mustache for all of 3 weeks over the last however many years at KC Sports Network. I thought that was pretty funny as well. But,
so Tucker, whenever you cut anything together from now on, just make sure it's always one of those few days where Ken has a mustache.
Ken has a mustache, or you somehow also include the Fraudgles.
Yeah.
Dude, what a Never mind.
I gotta give a shout out to our guy Claude on that for making that bumper. He cooked with that one. We got that one in the hopper. He sent that to me today. He wanted to have it done today for to debut on the first off-season edition of the KC Laboratory. So shout out to our guy Claude.
Shout out Claude. Shout out everyone watching, listening, subscribing. I will just tell you guys, I'm telling you, we're going to have so much draft content here at KC Sports Network. It's the best place to consume Chiefs-specific draft content from now until we do every single pick of the 2026 NFL Draft live at Holiday Distillery. So make sure you're coming here to check out everything we've got when it comes to our draft content and everything else in between. It's going to be an incredible year for that because the Chiefs have the 9th pick. And we'll get into some of that a little bit later. But first, some news kind of hit. Today, the Chiefs season's over, and the coaching cycle has started. Black Monday came, and some opportunities are available. Some new ones, but there's been a few out there already. The Tennessee Titans and Mike Borgonzi leading that coaching search are casting a wide net, it would appear, but they are starting in earnest on their pursuit of their next leader, and they want to speak to 2 coordinators for the Kansas City Chiefs. Matt Nagy's been rumored to be interviewing with the Tennessee Titans and in strong consideration for Tennessee for a long time. But the news comes out from Tennessee that not only is Matt Nagy in consideration, Steve Spagnuolo also getting an interview with the Tennessee Titans for their head coaching vacancy. Hamilton, when you first heard that news, I mean, I think Nagy was a little bit expected, right? But Spags too getting the call.
Yeah, I mean, the Borgonzi connection clearly matters there. And I think, I don't see that as a realistic landing spot for him. I wonder if it was almost Borgonzi, like, I'm not going to talk to Nagy and not also talk to Spags, like, almost out of respect. But I do think if we're going to talk about Spags potentially leaving, I do think the Giants are a legitimate option there. Again, I wouldn't say more likely than not it's Spags for them, but I do think there's a real chance there because, as we were kind of talking about before we got on here too, like that fan base is ready to lose it. And not that you make a hire for this reason. Spags is also a great coach and somebody who it is a shame he never got a second chance because he was in pretty messed up situation in St. Louis for a lot of reasons. But it would be nice to see, again, you don't want to lose him from the Chiefs. It would be nice to see him get a second chance. And I just think that's one where it makes a lot of sense given his ties to the organization, what he means to that fan base, what he's meant to that organization. And again, you want to have a strong offensive mind with him, with a young quarterback, with this young offense, but there's so much talent to that on that defense. It is criminal that defense was as bad as it was with some of the talent that they have. So to get a strong defensive mind in there, a strong leader in there, it makes a lot of sense for the Giants. That's the one. If I'm a Chiefs, like that's who I'm worried about losing Spags to. From a Chiefs perspective, it's the Giants.
Yeah, I think that makes way more sense than the Tennessee Titans. Like the Titans are currently, both these teams, I guess, are going to be dealing with the Giants and the Titans are dealing with second-year quarterbacks. You probably want to strap an offensive mind to those guys, but it's not the strongest like offensive coaching cycle this year. That was last year. I understand with like Stefanski getting fired or being let go and whatnot. There's some names out there, but it's not the strongest like offensive coaching cycle going on here. So maybe they feel more comfortable getting a veteran defensive coach that can be your head coach, finding a younger up-and-coming offensive coordinator that can theoretically be with them for a while. I don't know the rationale behind it, but I definitely think as a Chiefs fan, there's a lot more fear behind losing Spags and what that would mean going forward than most Chiefs fans want Matt Nagy gone. I don't have anything against Matt Nagy personally. I think he gets more blame than he probably should. However, I think he's kind of proven to this point he's not a solution for the issues that the Chiefs are facing either. So that's fine. Whereas if you lose Steve Spagnuolo, I mean, that leads to so many other questions for me. And like, I guess the first one is like, does Dave Merritt get the DC job? Is Andy ready to trust Dave Merritt to run the entire defense? Because Andy wants his hands off the defense. He wants nothing to do with that. He wants to set it and forget it with whoever's there. Does he have that trust in Dave Merritt? I don't know. If you lose Spags and Dave Merritt and probably even Joe Cullen, I'll throw his name in there. Like, that's a lot of guys that I think you really like those coaches and the development they've given you. So how do you go about replacing those guys or retaining as many of those guys as you could? And if you're dealing with that kind of turnover on the defense, do you want to deal with turnover on the offense side at the same exact time, or are you more likely to play it close to the vest? Like, I think this, if Spags is to get another head coaching job and he takes it, I think that kind of might start this really big snowball effect that could have a huge impact, not even like just kind of indirectly on both sides of the ball for this team going forward. And that'll give you some major hurdles they would like have to figure out.
Yeah, and it really is true. Like Nagy, again, as you said, I think a lot of Chiefs fans kind of want him gone fairly or unfairly, but either way, it's not gonna cause a major ripple effect for this team. Losing Spags, it's, you know, like you said, it's the ripple effect of it, but you're also losing. I mean, one of the greatest, so whatever anybody wants to say about what happened this year, like this is one of the greatest defensive minds in this game, the greatest defensive coaches in the history of this league. And no matter what you do, that's near impossible to replace.
Steve Spagnuolo is, according to Rap Sheet, should be getting a request from the New York Giants. So there is at least some level of expectation that this is an opportunity that could present itself for Steve Spagnuolo. I do agree. I think Matt Nagy, I don't think he's coming back. Just the way it's been framed. So I don't know if it matters if he gets a head coaching job or not. It feels like Matt Nagy's out the door. Because it's the same kind of line of thinking. It's the same cycle that they went through with Eric Bieniemy. Because Eric Bieniemy, it was like, well, he should be a head coach. He should be a head coach. He should be a head coach. Eric Bieniemy will be pursuing a new opportunity elsewhere to try to be an offensive play caller and have more of a stamp on the offense. I think that's what you're gonna get. It's the same. I think it's the same script that we've seen reported that, hey, Matt Nagy his contract is up, and it makes sense for him to go try to put a stamp on this, on this thing himself, without without Andy Reid's influence whatsoever. That kind of signals to me that he's moving on, is really what that feels like to me. So I don't think Nagy's back regardless, just reading between some lines. I think some things would have to go, not wrong, just seems like it. Just I think some opportunities that the Chiefs looked at would have to have not materialized for Nagy to be back in that chair. Spags, it's not it's close to irreplaceable. I mean, I don't want to say it's. I'm trying to find the right words. Like, some things definitely change, and maybe the archetypes that the Chiefs prefer change a little bit with a new defensive coordinator. But man, Steve Spagnuolo still has it. He still has it in his bag. He still got it. And I know this year was difficult and frustrating, but and the defense had their failures there. They need a talent. They just need more talent back there. I mean, they need more talent on that side of the ball, and I think the Chiefs did everything they could to keep that boat afloat on the defensive side of the ball. I would be a little bit. I will just say I will be a little bit surprised if Steve Spagnuolo does get a job as a head coach. He's a 66-year-old, turns 67, and that's a tough. I just think that's a tough archetype to sell right now. The Giants are probably the leading team, the only realistic team that I think would really give him the strongest consideration, just because of the history there. But man, it just Joe Shane and Steve Spagnuolo just feels like a pairing that doesn't make a ton of sense. And I don't know, I don't know. I'd be a little bit surprised if he does actually get one of these jobs.
Yeah, the emphasis is clearly young coaches skewing offensive minded. Although you look at what Mike McDonald's done in Seattle, can't be discounted. But again, you pair him with a young offensive mind in Clint Kubiak, and that pair, that's part of why that's worked so well, getting Kubiak in there. But yeah, it is. It's with the way that this league is trending right now. It's going to be a hard sell. That's why I say I think it's, I'd still on the air on the side of like less likely that he gets a head coaching job, but this is the perfect storm for it to happen with that Giants job being open. And as you said, like he absolutely still has it. When we go back, I mean, think back to a bunch of these games early in the year that they were in just because of his game plans and how week to week he tailored his game plans to really put this defense in the best possible position, whether it was the Eagles game or, the Colts game or whatever other game you want to look at. Like, I think it really was more of a talent issue this year than anything else. And he did the best job he possibly could for the most part. There were mistakes in there too, which happens, but for the most part, put this defense in the best position to succeed that he possibly could.
What a wild year, that the year where the Chiefs are the worst that they have been in a long time, and you potentially could lose both coordinators to different head coaching jobs, which has not obviously happened at any point in time. And it would be especially funny, I guess, or like ironic, if Spags gets a job off this cycle, because this is like, I mean, I know the issue was mostly talent, but like the defense wasn't good this year. This was definitely one of their worst seasons. I think Spags is holding a lot together with very questionable personnel that had limitations, but I don't think this was like a masterclass year from him either. I think like teams clearly caught on to some of his tendencies. It took him a while to figure out like, hey, we just have to blitz 55% of the time in a game to even stand a chance for a little bit. Like, I'm not saying he was bad this year. Don't get me wrong. It's just, this isn't the 2023 season. This isn't even the end of 2022 where he's playing half of the team as rookies and they're making it work in the playoffs, or 2023 where the defense was amazing. Like this just is a funny year for him to be a hot name again, especially when you start looking around. A lot of like the main names, a lot of the big names for head coaching jobs are defensive guys. Like this is the year where it's defensive guys are getting a lot of rub because of how well it's went for Seattle, because of like just how highly people are thinking of Jesse Minter there for Los Angeles. Like this is supposed to be a defensive year. So it would be a really ironic and just odd year for Spags off of this Chiefs season with this coaching group coming up to be head coaches to finally get the job. And it'd be very unfortunate, I guess, on one hand, unfortunate for the Chiefs. On the other, I do think there's a fair amount of candidates out there that if you did have to replace him, like there might be some good names out there that you wouldn't have to, be completely in the tank because of it. It's just, I would hate Andy to have to also be fighting that battle while we're begging him to add somebody new to the offensive side and not just bring back Eric Bieniemy and say, okay, let's fix this with somebody we know while we focus on the defensive coaching staff first.
And that would be a travesty. And it's just the freshness of names. Like they need some injection of fresh ideas on the offensive side of the ball. And I'm going to have a hard time. I mean, there's one returning candidate I would really be excited about. And then the rest of them, I don't know how I'd feel. Mike Kafka would be the one I'd be the most excited about. EB, 1 year with Ben Johnson's not going to do it for me. I don't know. I'd have a hard time with that. So if this really, like, if the Chiefs if Andy gets conservative on offense, on coaching staff on offense because he's having to overhaul the defense, man, I am not gonna be happy. This would be the absolute worst time for this to happen. Yeah. So we'll see where this goes. There's a little bit of time here. I'm curious to see. Oh, you got something, him?
Sorry, I did want to say one. I wonder if the reason this is happening this year is because the Chiefs are out of it, and these guys are, there's more availability. I know obviously we've seen plenty of times where you can interview coaches that are in the playoffs and making playoff runs, but I don't know, from Spags' perspective, I'm sure he knows like it's not the most likely thing that he's going to be getting a job. So is he taking away from winning and his prep for winning another Super Bowl to really entertain that stuff? Versus now when you're totally free and can have more of those conversations and engage in that stuff a little bit more. That was just a thought. I'm just wondering if that's why, because it is odd after a 6-win season that now these guys are getting floated around there, but I wonder if that has a little something to do with it.
Well, it truly could be a perfect storm. The team losing, Mike Borgonzi getting full control of the coaching hire in Tennessee. Wonder where he came from, and then the Giants being open, right? The early news is not kind to that. I still would be surprised. I'd be surprised if Spags gets it, but I do. I mean, hey, he's got two chances at it, and so like there is that to it. So, you can't completely dismiss it either. But we'll find out in the next, probably week or so. I'd imagine, things are really gonna heat up in earnest with the coaching hires over the next week, and we'll kind of see where things land. The first domino might be Kevin Stefanski, which was quite a surprise. His exit. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna get gobbled up immediately. Like he'll be picked up. He might already be picked up. Who knows? Maybe he's just waiting on the Packers. We're gonna take a break. We'll be back right after this.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others that not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to. And I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust. And I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible. And they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN. And that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
Hey, what's happening, people? It is Benny Heiss, KCSN betting analyst. And while the Chiefs may not be in the playoffs, that doesn't mean there is not plenty of action to go around for the rest of you that are still crazy fans of the National Football League. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, it makes every playoff moment feel bigger. So whether you're looking at individual matchups in the wild card, or for a possible Super Bowl matchup, or for futures come postseason time, DraftKings has your back, and they also have your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop goes down at any point in the first half, guess what? You can still get paid in cash. What an opportunity. What a way to be able to enjoy the playoffs and not worry about anybody that you include in those props going down, especially early on, and ruining the rest of all of your legs. So here's what you do. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the code KCSN, that is code KCSN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Remember, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. You must be 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Thanks, everyone, hanging out with us on a Matter Day, an off-season Matter Day. I think we're going to be doing a post-mortem on this season for, I don't know, a good month as a bunch of other teams try to win their Super Bowl.
Their Super Bowl?
Some of them maybe their first. I'm trying to, in first in a while, everyone but the Rams and Eagles, could be winning a ring for the first time.
Kent, you have a couple more days to think about this. I need Hamilton's official Super Bowl prediction right now.
NFC side, I've talked myself into the Seahawks. Sam Darnold still scares me a little bit, but this defense is playing so well, and I feel like they've figured out how to manage the game around him. When you look at how they managed that Niners game, how they managed the second half of that Rams game, just kind of putting him in fewer positions to totally ruin the game for them with his meltdowns. They've kind of done a masterful job of that, and I think that's what's given me some confidence. And that defense is just playing so well. The way they were able to, eat up clock against the Niners offensively enough, they didn't do anything outstanding, but that defense just choked the absolute life out of a Niners team that had been scoring like 40 points a game over the last month. It was so impressive. So I've talked myself into the Seahawks from the NFC side. From the AFC side, it is so wide open. I'm kind of torn between the Jaguars and the Texans right now.
Whoa!
Yeah. Again, the Texans defense has been so friggin' good. I think it's the Jaguars though for me because the way that Trevor Lawrence has played the last month plus, the switch flipped. Like we talked about it going back to that Chiefs game, how maddening it had been to watch him because you see all the talent, so many good things, and then there are these zero IQ plays. There are like 4 or 5 of them per game, and those are few and far between right now with him. He has kind of figured things out in this Liam Cohen offense, and he's playing with so much confidence. He's using his legs the way I felt he should have been his entire career to this point. But he's picking his spots so well right now too. It's just that whole team. It was crazy they were in the position they were in because he was playing, quite honestly, like pretty terrible football, and they were still in a playoff spot for most of this year. And it was just he was like the last thing. They're like waiting for him to come along, and the way he's been playing now, the rest of that team is really firing. I think Liam Cohen has done just a phenomenal job. Anthony Campanelli too. I mean, you want to talk about defensive guys who should be getting some head coaching buzz. I love the way they're playing right now. And yeah, so that sounds like an absolutely insane Super Bowl matchup. But right now I'm going Jaguars.
Sam Darnold versus Trevor Lawrence for a Super Bowl sounds insane. Yes.
It really does.
But I will say this for the Jags. I'm gonna, we'll get to our predictions, I think, later in the week. So I want to get credit too. Kit and I don't have to break. Yeah, that's why I said you had a couple days. I just said, like, the Jags are interesting because I don't trust them at all, but they might be playing the best football out of anybody going into the playoffs. It's just how much do you trust that? They're not similar at all, but like it's the same thing I've always had with the Detroit Lions. Like I just don't trust Jared Goff to win playoff games, and I don't know if I'm ready to trust Trevor Lawrence no matter how good they look to win playoff games. But I like the prediction. Who wins? Oh yeah, who's winning the Super Bowl? I need that too.
I'll go Seahawks.
Write it down.
And it really is. If the
Super
Jaguars,
Bowl MVP, it's Sam Darnold.
Insane. And it really is like this Bills game is so fast. This Jags Bills game is the most fascinating one of this wild card round for me from a football perspective and from a narrative perspective too, because I do think like if they take down the Bills, they're going like that. I have confidence that this is the game on that slate for the Jaguars that kind of scares me the most. I mean, we saw what they did to the Broncos in Denver a couple weeks ago. They just picked that team apart, which we can get into a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
about
we
the Broncos,
can.
But
we can.
But yeah, this is the one. Like, can you keep Josh from just putting the game on his back and just taking over? And yeah. And if the Bills lose this game, what happens with McDermott? If the Bills win this game, are they going to make a run and actually take advantage of Mahomes not being there? It's going to shape whatever happens in that game. To me, is going to shape the entire like story of this playoff. So super fascinated for that one.
Oof. That is, I can't wait, man. I'm so excited for that game, dude. That's probably the game I'm looking forward to the most in the wild card round.
What? It's not the Panthers and the Rams.
The Rams of 10.5-point favorites on the road.
Not the Texans Steelers.
Oh, it's Houston -3 on that right now, by the way.
Yeah, that is a wildly low line.
Yeah. Wait, was this Tucker's Super Bowl pick too? Is that what I'm saying?
He said it was, yeah. No, I don't know if he was giving the Super Bowl MVP to Darnold.
No, because my Super Bowl MVP goes to Trevor Lawrence because I've got the Jags winning the Super Bowl.
There we go.
Boogers or no boogers?
I hope you're right. I want the Jaguars to do it, but yeah.
They're hot. You got to get hot at the right time. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And they're hot at the right time.
That's the problem. Are we
Trevor
sure it's the
against
right
that
time?
defense scares me a little bit, though.
How often does like a team just steamroll late in the season and get all the way through? That's the only thing. Like, did they peak at the wrong time, actually?
Guess we'll
Think
find
about
out.
I mean, it was Tom Brady with those Brady Bucks. Like they went into
Well,
the playoffs red hot. Like Tennessee, but yeah, it was Tom Brady. So I don't know how
Florida
much you count that.
team,
Trying to think. Yeah.
pretty quarterback, you know.
I mean, the Bengals that year, like they started peaking at the right time, and sorry to bring that up again. I'm not doing, but
And they did
got
nothing
made
with
that
it. They
run.
didn't win the Super Bowl. That's all I heard.
Did you all see that Trevor Lawrence was out there getting some lady was squatting Trevor Lawrence at the bar?
I did see that. Yeah.
He put him in like a torture rack and just started hitting squats or something. What's happening here?
And he's got grills. He's getting squatted. There's a lot.
Yeah,
going
I don't know
on there.
what was going on.
The vibes have changed dramatically on Trevor Lawrence, and the Jags are playing really good football, man.
Yeah,
They really
they
are.
really are. And
Credit
it's-
to them.
Yeah.
What a detour.
And it is so crazy when you look at his number and what he was doing the first half of the season versus the second half of the season. It is night and day, and it's absolutely wild. I don't know if I've ever seen like a mid-season transformation quite like what we've seen from him.
It's pretty insane. Wildly impressive. And Liam Cohen, man, like, then just look at what happened to Tampa when Liam Cohen left.
Yeah.
Things really unraveled. We're 30 minutes into this show. I can't
Yeah.
believe it. It's just
We're killing it.
we've got through one of the 4 things we even wanted
boy.
to talk about on this show.
Listen, the next segment's real fast because it's the same thing we've been talking about for 3 months because it's been obvious.
Okay, well, the audio-only listeners are just going to have to find out. Look, there's a lot of postmortem, like I was saying. There's a lot of conversations that are going to happen over the next few months about this team. There's going to be grave detail about a lot of different things. I think there's some obvious things that you kind of set the groundwork for, and this is one of them. When you're really looking at the Chiefs and looking at what happened on that roster this year, when you're trying to identify 2, 3, 4 biggest needs for this team in 2026, Hamilton, like what are the couple things that you really think that this team needs to fix? It can be players, it can be personnel, or coaching staff. Like, what is it? Like, what are the big things that you think this team needs to address?
I mean, priority number one has to be this defensive front. It was nowhere near good enough this year. We kind of knew it coming into the year. We talked about it all off season, both on the edges and the interior D line, and this can't continue. They can't run it back with this group as currently constructed. The biggest problem there, though, is this is at least as it looks right now, we'll see who gets cut and whatever else happens. But looking at the list of available names, and it is not pretty right now. Like outside of Jalen Phillips, it is not an inspiring group that's set to hit free agency right now. So that's going to be the big obstacle there. They're going to have to look to the draft once again, and obviously made some moves to try to address it in this past draft. The Norman Lott injury was disappointing, and who knows how much he was going to fix things either way. But
Andy
that has to be
Andy kind of blamed Omar Norman Lott's injury for some of their pass rush issues. Like they were good before,
which is wild.
Did you see? He goes, "Yeah, well, we were doing good before Omar Norman Lott got hurt." And I just
Okay.
okay, all right,
Yeah, sure.
Anyways,
But yeah, like boy, Mafe is an interesting one. He's like that, but there are very few names here where you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like that could really help. Obviously, like there's depth that can be added there out of this group, but yeah, it's a lot of like guys on the back end of their career, guys that are just not super exciting. Again, outside of Jalen Phillips is going to get broken off. I would think, especially given the rest of the names that are there, but and maybe he's a possibility. We'll see. But yeah, I think to me, that's what's really got to get fixed here first and foremost. If this team's going to turn it around.
Yeah, thing for me is new offensive ideas. This isn't, if we wouldn't limit it to players, that's fine. But like, I think the first and foremost thing they have to fix is they just gotta get something new. I mean, like, it's the same thing we've been talking about with coordinators and coaching staff. And like, I think you can bring in new pieces on off. Like defensively, I agree. They got to get some new defensive line health, like not in terms of just like physical health, but like they got to change that room up. Like it has to be a more cohesive unit. It just has to be a healthier built unit with people that do different things, not just a bunch of George Karlaftis clones of varying degrees, right? Like 60% George Karlaftis and 72% George Karlaftis. Like you can't build an entire defensive line room out of those guys. So they got to do more there. But offensively, I think before you even start doing the player, like working on some players and who to add, just need new ideas. You need something fresh. And if that means leaning into the run game a little bit more, if that means going under center more often with your passing game, if that means marrying the two together, if that means maybe getting away from some of your West Coast, like I don't know what the answer is going to be for them. That's what they are going to have to decide as they go into this offseason looking at the coaching staff. But like they need new ideas. They need people to come in and say, hey, what if we try to beat this defense this way? What if our answer to this coverage isn't mesh? What if our answer to this coverage isn't flood? Like, what if instead of throwing an RPO on every first down, we do this instead? Like, I think that's where they have to start. And then once you establish that, you then, I think, can have branched out. You either need a better, more talented running back that you can rely on to make actual plays, or you're going to need another pass catcher, probably outside wide receiver, but you could sell me on a tight end too, that can beat man coverage and somebody can get open on their own that doesn't have to be schemed open. So it depends on which way you want to go. I completely think either is viable, but once you figure out how you want to run this offense going forward, you need to either add a better pass catcher that can get themselves open, or you need to add a running back that can be reliable.
I think, you go Hamilton.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest, because Andy, as you know, even going back to Philly, just running the ball was never a priority for him. I was just looking up right now because I was curious, like what how he's kind of stacked up, even just as far, forget efficiency or yardage, just as far as attempts. And there's only been one time where his offense has been even beyond 12th in rushing attempts in a season, beyond middle of the pack, basically. And it was 2002, where they were 5th in rushing attempts, and it was Deuce Staley and Dorsey Levens and a little sprinkling of Brian Westbrook. So that's how long we're talking since he's been like really beyond just like middle of the pack as far as committing to the run. And again, not that it needs to be that extreme. You have Patrick friggin' Mahomes. It shouldn't be that extreme, but even I just remember some of those years too with Brian Westbrook, when Brian Westbrook was playing at an all-pro level, and it was always a conversation of just getting this guy the ball. So even when the talent is there at running back, it's always been something of a conversation with Andy. Obviously you can go back to Jamal Charles and some of those early years too, but yeah, I do. To me, that's the most intriguing thing offensively, is like, can you get somebody in there with some fresh ideas for this run game and get the run game going a little bit more? Because as we've seen, like you can put everything on Patrick Mahomes' shoulders and have success. Obviously, we've seen that, but like you don't have to. And maybe it'll help him out and make him more effective if you balance this offense a little bit better and give a real threat to this running game. It's going to make things easier for everybody. And you look at the vast majority of the offenses that have had consistent success in this league over the last couple of years, a lot of the passing game is based off of the run game, and it's built that way. And I don't know. I'm with you guys. It's time to try a little something different here and mix it up a little bit.
You heard a comment from Andy today talking about how watching film, the play action didn't really do much to move. It wasn't generating a ton of movement. Like there wasn't a respect for the play action game because there wasn't enough respect for the run game. And so there was an acknowledgement from Andy Reid on that today, just talking about like, hey, yeah, like they got to look at some things differently. And I think I think they've probably known for weeks. Actually, I don't think they've known for weeks. This is not something like, I think it's just completely overhauling the run game in the middle of the season without padded practices. Like, what are you going to do there? You have what you have, and you're going to have to find some things to utilize, but you're probably pulling from a lot of the same concepts that you've been running all season. It's hard you can't completely overhaul a run game just mid-season. Like that's just not a realistic thing to do. This is especially when you, like you said, you think about how you're building your offense off of the run game too. It's just I think they've known for a while. Andy Reid's not stupid. It just is so some of this is like some of the stuff out there. It's like Andy Reid is not stupid. He's still one of the best minds in football, and if he's willing to adapt, he will reclaim that throne as, the best again, potentially, if he can just kind of reinvent himself a little bit like he has in the past. I do believe, like, the guy that, schemed his way through some of these, big moments and big games and big plays that we speak of with, iconic. And yes, Wasp was an incredible effort from Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. Corn Dog, like Tom and Jerry. Like, there's still some big plays that this team has pulled out at the right time. Andy Reid's not stupid. He knows more football than all of us. He just needs to reinvent himself. I'm sorry for this little side tangent. There's just the picturing the Chiefs are not bumbling dolts. It's just it's so irritating. Sorry. Anyways,
and I think like some of the annoyance comes from like the press conference answers and things. Like he's lying. He's lying.
He's not giving you anything.
It's a simple. He doesn't want to give you any because he doesn't want to throw his players under the bus. He doesn't want to throw his other coaches under the bus. So he's purposely being vague or saying these things because he doesn't want to throw anybody under the bus. And frankly, he feels like he doesn't know anything, and he's not totally wrong. I know it's frustrating as a fan. I'm not saying you don't have a right to be frustrated, but again, you can't interpret that as like him missing the point or him being stupid. As you said, like, this is one of the most brilliant coaching minds, in the history of this game. This is one of the greatest head coaches that's ever been a head coach in this league. And you have to have, again, you don't want to just put blind faith in everything, but if there's anybody to put some blind faith into, it's Andy Reid with what he's done in this league.
He's earned. Yeah, I say, like, I mean, he's obviously like earned quite the benefit of the doubt here. So like we're
he's
about
not
to embark on
he's really not getting it. Like, it's just like, come on.
No, okay, but I mean, like, on one hand you get why. On the other hand, like, he deserves it, and he's how to say it. This offseason is going to be big for the Chiefs to swing one way or the other, and specific, not just the Chiefs, but like Andy Reid too, right? It's going to swing one way or the other because like he's not getting quite as much as you would expect. And I'm not saying like the team or anything is ready, but like if you go through another struggling season and they don't make some of these correct moves, whatever they end up being, I'm not saying anybody knows them, but if they make moves that don't like obviously work out, it's going to be real interesting at the end of even next year. And it can be crazy how quick it can go. Cause I think for the Chiefs organization and people not Chiefs fans have a little bit more benefit of the doubt for Andy Reid here. I think the only people that understand the mindset of Chiefs fans are Eagles fans because they saw the same thing and they said the cracks have been showing. It just hasn't fully broken. And now it is. And it seemed like it fell out really fast. I think Chiefs fans feel like that's a possibility. And that's why they're not giving him the benefit of the doubt. And I do think that there are some Eagles fans that recognize some of the same signs. And if you're a Chiefs fan that happens to think that way, you are going to lean into the people that have the most experience. Whereas if you look at the bigger picture, people that aren't in there day in and day out, you're like, no, they've been one of the best coaches ever. Look how great they've been, so on and so forth. You maybe don't see all the small things that are potentially bad going forward. It's like, we'll have to see how it plays out. I think a lot of people need to calm down, sit back and relax and see what happens. But I also understand how we got here.
I just think I will be with some people here if this happens again next year. But I don't think that I don't have a complete lack of confidence in the people in the building like some people do. I do think that there is a reinvention that can happen here, and I do think there will be some big-time changes. For me, I think the biggest need to address is just stability in the pass-catching game. So, like, I don't know how they're going to find it either, if I'm being honest with you. I think there's part of me that wonders if the Chiefs don't explore the trade market a little bit for a more reliable pass catcher. I don't know if they're going to feel, especially if Travis Kelce doesn't come back, you can't trust where they're at with Xavier Worthy right now. you can't trust where they're at with Rashee Rice at this point. The development's not been there from those two. And so if you're going into an offseason without Travis and then with those two as your primary pass catchers, I think they really need to find a higher floor somewhere that Mahomes can trust, that can be a little bit more reliable. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if it's going to be free agency because I don't think Romeo Doubs is that. And I don't really want to pay Romeo Doubs money. There's really not it's going to be a big challenge, I think, for this team to try to find some stability there, but I think that's really crucial to this thing moving forward, and how they find it is going to be of great interest to me.
And I will say, like, you don't want to pin your hopes on Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy making leaps. You're right. Like, you have to try to find something stabilizing there. But I do like elements of this receiver room. It's just a matter of, like, Rashee Rice coming off of everything that happened and having, an off season where he's focused on rehabbing and legal issues versus like playing football. I think that matters. I think if he's able to have a normal off season, we've seen the talent that's there. We've seen the chemistry with Patrick that he's had in the past. I still am a believer that can work, and work at a really high level. And Worthy, we'll see what comes out. I still wonder how much of it, not making excuses for him, I wonder how much of it had to do with the injuries and the way the season started off for him. And again, it's not totally excusing anything, but there were there have been glimpses the way his rookie season ended. There were moments this year. It's just, I just wonder how healthy he was this year. So again, you don't want to just bank on those things, but I do think there are elements there that have a ton of upside. And you're right, if you can just get one guy in there who you feel really solid about, it changes things a lot, in my opinion. But there are things in that receiver room to like, and to think that this was a down year and we should see better things out of those, specifically those two guys next season.
Anything? It's wild to me to think that Rashee Rice is in a contract year coming up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you do.
Which is another reason to think, by the way, that it's going to be a good year.
And look, I don't think it's like an all the way out thing on those two. It's just
yeah.
Do you need to find some stability there? And can you? I mean, like, Rashee will still have success, I think, to some degree. I think Xavier Worthy can still find a role here. Hopefully they get healthy, but I think that's where I want to see them find a little bit more reliability there. And it doesn't have to be as, dynamic and game breaking. You can do that in the draft maybe, but just find something that Mahomes can feel confident in, throwing the football. But yeah, big year for Rashee Rice. Contract year with everything so tumultuous over the course of his rookie contract. He's got one last year to try to go out and get paid. All right, let's move on here. A segment that is also sweeping the nation. There's several segments that are sweeping the nation at this point. But it's off-season time. We started it last week, and it's just like a little foray into draft content, right? Hamy's burning questions. We'll give you the floor, Matthew Hamilton.
All right, I have one big one this week. So now we know, obviously, the Chiefs picking 9th. Which is super exciting. I asked you guys last week kind of your ideal scenario for this team. I want to know right now, of the guys getting that top 10, top 15 buzz, who you're kind of terrified of. We'll go the other way with it. Who are you scared that the Chiefs might pick that you do not want to see?
Ooh, this is a great question, because I guess I can start a little bit. Let you think, Maddie. I think from a top 10, top 15 buzz perspective, I don't think there are a ton of players I will be disappointed in. I think there are some players that I would be more apt to want this team to take than others. But I'm very encouraged with how the top 9 could look for the Chiefs. I think there could be a quality edge rusher that falls. I think there could be a quality pass rusher that could fall. So I'm feeling quite good there. There's not a ton of scenarios. I'm fine. I'd be comfortable with, for instance, and Maddie's less comfortable with safety Caleb Downs out of Ohio State, who is one of the better football players in this entire draft, but just happens to play a position that maybe isn't quite as important as some of the others. The one move that I don't think I'd love, though, is Spencer Fano, the tackle out of Utah. I just think with the team needs that this team has, and some key, I mean, the Chiefs could make some improvements at defensive line and wide receiver, and I'd still have those the two favorites to be the position drafted by this team, especially how the draft lays out. Just going in, hey, you know what? We don't need Jalen Moore to play this year. We're just going to put Fano here and roll with it. I don't think I'd love that move. I think that's probably my least favorite outcome. And it's not even a complete knock on him. He's a good player. But just investing another, it's positional for me. Outside of that, like there's really not a ton of landmines, if you will, that I'd be too disappointed in.
Yeah, without going I think way off the board and just pulling from somebody way down, I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to be disappointed, which always leaves open the option to be extra disappointed if the Chiefs go that route, right? Like if they do pull any offensive, you can insert any offensive lineman in this conversation. Chiefs have a round 1 left tackle. They have a round 2 left guard. They have the highest paid center, the highest paid right guard. Please, you have to be able to find a way to play a right guard that doesn't cost a lot. You cannot invest heavily in all 5. Yes, sorry, a right tackle. You cannot invest heavily in all 5 offensive line positions. I mean, that just doesn't. That's not going to. You can't spend all of your resources into one position group, even one as important as offensive line. You have poured so many resources into it. You got to start spreading it out. And so, yeah, offensive line would be disappointing. Outside that, though, I don't think there's a specific player again, unless they're going to stray way outside of the realm. Can't hit on it. I wouldn't love Caleb Downs. It's not because I don't think he's a great player. I just don't think you add Caleb Downs. I don't think your offense gets any better. I don't think your pass rush gets any better. And I think your pass rush was a much bigger issue than the direct safety play. So I watch the Ravens. Kyle Hamilton's as good of a safety as you can get. Okay, the defense still can't stop anybody, right? Like if you still have all these other issues, what good is it to have that guy up there when you have the one time you're going to pick in the top 10 over the next decade? Why am I doing it on a safety? Again, we have proof that those guys don't always change games if there's other holes. So I wouldn't love a safety, but Caleb Downs is good enough that I wouldn't be mad about it. I just wouldn't love it. The only other guy that that's not inspiring to me, Peter Woods. Kent and I watched him the other day, defensive tackle out of Clemson. I get why people are intrigued. I get the athletic profile, the size. There's obviously something there, and you should definitely take him in round 1. I just don't know about the top 10. The juice doesn't jump off the tape with him. He's not moving. He doesn't move forward very violently. He's very strong, but he's never exploding off the ball. When he throws his hands, he's not doing so moving forward. He's always moving laterally. It just takes him longer to do everything, and he's young, so maybe it gets better, but that would be a pretty big risk, I think, in the top 10. I don't know if he has the upside to be this dominant all-pro defensive tackle that they usually go that high.
And that's why you guys are the absolute best already all over it with this draft class. I will say too, and also with your offensive line investment mention, also the highest paid backup tackle in the league. On top of that,
well, he's not a backup no more.
If you are drafting Spencer Fano, you are either taking the first round top 10 pick and hopefully the last top 10 pick you make in the Mahomes era off the field for his first year, or you are having the most expensive backup tackle in football again.
Yeah.
And that would be an infuriating process. Just an absolutely infuriating process. That's Hammy's burning questions. We'll keep them going all off season. But Maddie Lane, now it's time for the other segment that is sweeping the nation.
Can we do a super chat first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totes.
Matthew McHugh asked a super question here. Is there any reason to trade up into the top 5 of this year's draft?
That's a good question.
I can give you one case, but you go ahead, Maddie.
For me, I don't think so this year. I don't think there's a ton of blue chippers in this class. There probably is not even 5 in this class, right? And so maybe you could say if you have a chance to go up and get one of those guys, it would make some sense. However, even then, like I don't think those guys at the top are infallible. Like this isn't a draft class that I think has super elite top end talent. The only reason I think you trade up in this class is if you are a quarterback needy team, and that's not the Chiefs. I would think I would rather run the risk that, one of these guys that I have graded relatively similarly, all at positions that would be considered of need for the Chiefs, get to 9 and save my extra capital, because I do think the Chiefs need that pick 40 and their 3rd round pick probably in this season more than most others.
The only scenario, top 5 is pretty bold. I think it'd be like exactly pick 5. And it's if they don't think that they're hell-bent on a pass rusher, and they don't feel like they're going to get one unless they move up. Like that's really like if it's let's say what if they don't love David Bailey and his run defense, which that's going to be a conversation that we need to have at some point here, depending on how the defensive coaching staff goes. I will say there will be a debate, because I think Bailey's done. I think he's made some improvements as a run defender. But we'll talk.
Watch him against good tackles.
I watched him again last night against Oregon. I was like, there's some, he can't hold a double team well.
Good tackles. Those are 2 awful offensive tackles for that Oregon Ducks team. Absolutely horrendous offensive tackle play.
I don't know.
K-State, Utah.
I'll go watch K-State. I'll go watch the K-State game. Anyways, but let's say they don't love David Bailey. And let's say they made an exception for Bain. Ruben Bain goes off the board, and they love Keldrick Falk, which, by the way, I love Keldrick Falk. So if they love the 20-year-old pass rusher that was one of the team leaders and is an athletic freak, akin to Jalen Walker plus 20 pounds, 10 pounds probably. Maybe they want to go move up for a guy like that. Like that would be Javon Walker. Yeah. That would be like a scenario I could see. I don't know if they're going to have a chance to take Keldrick Falk. I think he's going to go before pick 9, but that's a take for like the next 3 months. We'll see there. Like that's like, I think it's a very specific scenario like that. How if they really are locked in to try to get one of those defensive ends, and their board is tinier for that than ours is, So that's all. Maddie Lane, you're on the clock.
Ooh, okay. So we're trying to stick to some. We're doing some. Stock up candidates here, and we're going to work from the college football playoff games. I think coming through on this one, I think we are going through it, and a lot of guys played really well. I wanted to go with Miami's running back, Mark Fletcher. I know he theoretically has said he's going back to school, but this is a really bad running back class. Like he might immediately, the way he's been playing in these playoffs, vault himself into contention for running back too. He had a Liz Frank injury, like a year and a half, like 2 seasons ago, and it clearly messed with him last year. He now looks healthy, and he's just running through Ohio State's defense like those guys are just made of paper mache. Runs over Sonny Styles, who hadn't missed a tackle all year, just trucks him in the middle of the field while Kent had to watch on the way to Miami beating the Ohio State Buckeyes. That was great. But yeah, I think Fletcher's been really good these playoffs. He's probably, if he decides to come out in the draft, has earned himself a good chunk of money. That's not who we're going to go with, because I don't even know if he's coming out. We're going back to Indiana. We're going with Elijah Surratt, the wide receiver, big wide receiver, listed, I think it was at 6'3", 220 pounds. You see that size, but what I've kind of been paying attention to when he goes up against the Ohio States, the Alabamas in this game, he doesn't look like he can't move. And that's the biggest thing when you get receivers his size, and I don't care about what they test, just on the field, does it look like they can't move? Is everything him having to push a guy at the last second and catch the ball? And that's not the case. He's not going to go out there and create a ton of separation with these hard breaking routes, but he is a pretty good route runner. He understands leverage. He knows his size, and he presents a lot of really good throwing windows to Fernando Mendoza. And then, yeah, there are times when you can just throw him the ball and he's going to make plays on it. And that's great to have when you have a receiver his size. So I don't know if Surratt's going to break himself into the round 1 conversation at all because of the limited athletic testing. But when you get into day 2 of this draft, here's a guy that I do think has the mental makeup and the physical ability to play on the outside, to beat NFL level athletes a little bit better than I may have thought coming into the season.
Can I throw a stock down here a little bit?
Ooh, stock down. Yeah. Ooh, love a good stock down.
So I've been very
Buckeyes.
I've been very impressed with what we've seen out of Carnell Tate for the body of work for the 2025 season. But his showing against Miami in the college football playoffs was it left a lot to be desired, and it actually presented more questions that I think you got to answer and look a little bit closer for the rest of the tape for the remainder of the season. And in the big moments, in the big game, and a gotta have it for your team's playoff life, for your college football career, he really didn't hold up particularly well. You saw him shying from contact in the middle of the field and alligator arming a catch and, being a little bit timid at the catch point. You saw him in some uninspiring moments as a blocker and some flat out missed blocks and some effort plays that were a little bit surprising in such a crucial game for his team and their playoff outlook. There's so much to like about Carnell Tate's game. I think he's a big dynamic receiver that can play all three positions if you really want him to. He's an X, a Y, and a Z. He can beat press coverage if you need to. He can run routes in the middle of the field. I think he's a technician, and that's something that this team kind of needs, I think, is someone that can run a little bit more defined routes with more consistency. And great at the catch point, too, and a good athletic profile. But, man, some rough moments in that game that really leave you some pause. And, when I'm sitting there looking at 9 and it's Carnell Tate and anybody else in that kind of blue chip range, I find myself wanting not Carnell Tate. And that's been a little bit disappointing.
Oh.
There's still plenty of time. There's still plenty of time to go back and look at some of those things and see if you can see moments where he isn't shying from contact. He isn't afraid of catching the ball in the middle of the field with closing defenders or, some of those struggles in the blocking game. So, the more questions for Carnell Tate coming from me, especially if we're going to consider him in this kind of range. Hamilton, final thoughts before we get out of here.
I mean, my final Matty Lynn, maybe the funniest analogy of in my history with this show with Mark Fletcher making you sit in the corner chair against Ohio State.
Yep.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Casey Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
Hanging out with the Panthers and the Bucks in that little corner chair.